I don't think I would have survived as long as I have if I hadn't have adapted my lifestyle. If I hadn't have accepted my limitations and worked within them, I don't think my life would have been very happy. About 32 years ago I had a volvulus, which is a condition where the bowel twists, and it went gangrenous, and I had to have my bowel removed. So I lost all of my small intestine and half of my large intestine.
Sally's an interesting patient, and she's somebody who's really had, for many years, had to have artificial nutritional supplementation.
So I was then put on TPN, which is home parenteral nutrition, where all my nutrition was given to me intravenously. And so I was on that system for 32 years, which is a long time for anyone to stay on a system like that.
And she's needed that because her bowel is such that she can't absorb normal food from the bowel. She's got a very short bowel. As a result, you can get all sorts of complications over the years, and infections and sort of issues of declining health.
While life has been less satisfying in recent time, these complications were going to mean that the future for the coming year was going to be pretty poor, and her prognosis at the end of that time was quite grim.
We were together when I first got sick. In fact, I was pregnant when I actually had the volvulus. So that was a very inauspicious beginning to a relationship, wasn't it? So most of our lives together I've been, I suppose you could call it disabled in a way. I lost the baby that I had when I had the volvulus, but then we had Hannah later on.
It was only 7 years after the initial operation that a doctor for some reason said to her that she could in fact have a child if she wished. We didn't believe we could have a child.
Anyway, we did manage.
We had a child. So.
And I finished a PhD in that time too, so that was another achievement. So I've had a few small achievements in my life. It was a very difficult 32 years. I wasn't healthy all that time, but I did have a reasonable quality of life. But I also adjusted my life a lot too, that once I'd finished my studies, I became really involved with gardening and dog walking and stuff, which to many people would sound not very satisfying, but in actual fact it was the best thing I ever did for my health, as well as my mental health, because walking out in the bush, along bush trails or river trails, was really good physically and mentally, and gardening gave me such satisfaction, and seeing things grow. So I grew most of the plants in our garden, and then planted them out, and then looked after them and weeded, and so it gave me a busy life as well as a very satisfying life. Yeah. I've got older and my health has gradually deteriorated.
I think recently she was admitted to ICU because she had some respiratory problems related to her declining health and also the effects of long-standing TPN. And at that stage, when she recovered, I think she decided her quality of life was such that she no longer wanted to be artificially fed.
So a lot of things brought about this decision.
And it was a decision I made over a long, long time. And I decided that really my time had come where life was no longer really of good quality. And that's what brought me to palliative care.
With the discussion with the palliative care unit, she came here from ICU about 3 weeks ago.
So I decided to stop the TPN, and without TPN I cannot survive because I can't absorb food.
So the palliative care team can give that sort of advocacy and level of understanding and support in a sort of more holistic way that maybe isn't as obvious to a high-tech treating ICU unit. She's made a very clear decision, and so really it's to help her feel supported.
Initially we thought that my kidneys would give up first, that I would go into renal failure, but that hasn't happened. So I'm still here after nearly 3 weeks, and things are going along quite well.
Because she's now got time ahead, it's also supporting her psychologically and spiritually, so there's a great role for pastoral care and our sort of usual team processes of art therapy and music therapy to try and get her to sort of start the finishing off processes and discussions with her family and friends, because they may not understand why she's made that decision either. So that's another important factor. And then we've also got the assessment of her symptoms and issues that might start to develop.
I don't know what the options would have been. The palliative care has been tremendous in that people can come in at any time that suits them and suits me to a large extent, and they're very supportive.
Oh yeah, the staff are great. We weren't too sure when we came in. It was a bit dicey to start with, but I think that was our attitudes rather than theirs.
So it's been fantastic, and I think good for people to see me in that way. Actually, I hate to say this, but I'm not finding it a really difficult time at all. In some ways, I'm feeling better on a day-to-day basis than I've felt for 30 odd years. So it's a very positive time for me. I have fond memories of feeling as good.